The Mishnah is not telling us to do things in that way. The Mishnah is telling us to do things in a special way that will help us. So again, let's just review one more time. Eze derech yeshara sheyaver lo ya'adam kol shu teferes la'asuya v'teferes loy min ha'adam. Comes from me and the way I'm doing it to. It comes in. It's accepted, and I'm giving it over in a pleasing way, and it's accepted by the people that I'm doing it. As I want to do things, that's what the Mishnah is teaching us. And I believe it's a very, very, very important midah. It's very important to realize that we have to commingle with people. We have to be around people, and the right people will help us get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? We learned the idea, the Likutey Halachos many times. Every day you're supposed to have 3 conversations, right? You're supposed to have a conversation between you and the Rebbe, right? You and the tzaddik, right? You're supposed to have a conversation between 2 friends, ben dain ledain, like we say in the Avolat Zion, right? The ben dain ledain. You're supposed to have 2 people who are supposed to have a good, heartfelt conversation. And you're supposed to have a conversation with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? Every day, 3 conversations, right? But again, when you speak to people in that pleasing way, so again, you can do that bonding, like you said, right? And you bond, right? And how do you do that? Using the compassion, right? Using the compassion. So then, but again, realize that the whole idea, this whole midah today, the whole week is the week of Yesod. So it's all based on Kedusha. You can only do all of these things, again, if a person's working on his purity. Right? If you're working on purity, then you see the purity in other people. Right? If a person's involved with all worldly things, and he's just involved in materialism, so then he feels higher and better than if he has more than the other one, so he feels greater, he feels superior. But if the person's working on Kedusha, and he's working on his Tahara, so then when he sees other people, he appreciates other people that are working on Kedusha and Tahara also. He'll look up to people and so on. So you can use the midah of Tferes in order to enhance your midah of Yesod. Okay? All right, so that's a very beautiful idea for today. The idea of that today is the day of Tferes Shebi Yesod. Tferes Shebi Yesod. It's a beautiful midah, right? The midah of Tferes can help enhance the midah of Yesod. Okay? All right, so we'll take over now. We're going to go to Likutey Halachos. Considerate, okay? It's the same idea, right? Pleasing and considerate, okay. Shalom says that the word teferes lo should be pleasing and considerate. Do things in a consideration way. Okay. Okay, we're learning Likutey Halachos, Hilchos Netilas Yadayim, the laws of washing our hands, and the importance of washing our hands for bread, right? And the importance of washing our hands for bread. There's big discussion in halacha. What if there's even such a thing as a mezonos bread? There's such a thing of people today. Oh, this is a mezonos roll, right? They make a mezonos on this roll, right? But that's very questionable. Right? It's very, very, very questionable. Why? Because you put a little holy apple juice in there. Now, because you put a little apple juice in there, you switch the water for apple juice, and now, the apple juice was anyway watered down, right? How much apple juice is there already, right? So there's a whole question. When people try to do all these things, make them mezonos, and then you have another problem. See, when you're doing that, if it's not really mezonos bread, you made them so then you made the wrong bracha on the bread, right? And then really now all the brachas that you made, you were supposed to maybe wash on that. There's a question of all the brachas that you made on the other things that you were eating. You understand? Because if you wash, you don't make those other brachas. And then the question is it questionable? Is there such a thing?
Right. Were the other blessings in vain?
Well, they're not in vain because you ate something. Yeah. But the question is, did you make the wrong blessing on the bread itself? Yeah, so those things are always suspect about these mizonos rolls, okay? I mean, either way, because we're learning the importance of washing our hands for bread, okay? For bread. Okay, so here we go. So today we say, today we're in halacha Dalid, and today we're up to Beis, I believe, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Ubishvil zeh tzarich sheyeh mayim shel hanetila mayim shelei nasu behem melacha. Okay, here we go. It's a very important idea, right? So in other words, the water that you use to wash your hands should not be water that was recycled. You used it for work, you used it for some kind of project or something, or whatever it is, and then you just take that water and then wash your hands. No, you're supposed to use the water with pure water. Why, we said? Because the water is really connected to the Mei Elyon, the Das. Correct? You want to say something?
No.
No. Okay. Begam sheyia kli sholim. And also the halacha says, this is the halacha in Shulchan Aruch, okay, the Aruch Chaim, okay, in the, and also the kli has to be sholim, right? So we said that the kli that you use, the vessel, the cup that you use, should not have a hole in it, should not be dented. It should be a nice, pristine cup that you're using to wash your hands.
So the water shouldn't have any residue of soap in it either, probably.
No.
Yeah, okay.
Why would you want to have soap in the water?
Not want to, but sometimes it happens, you know.
Oh, you mean they use the washing cup for
The
something?
previous person will soap over the cup, you know, the water.
Oh, and then you put water.
It should be clear. You should clean it out.
Yeah.
Or not do that. Move the cup away.
Soapy water. Well, okay,
It's not really soapy, but there's a little
Film.
little bubbles. You know.
okay, that's not such a problem because again, it wasn't used for malacha.
The water wasn't used.
It wasn't used for any. No, you want to wash the cup out.
Yeah.
Before you wash, you fill up the cup, rinse the cup out, and then you fill it. That's no big deal. Okay, because all work that we do has an attachment to the sitra achra, the other side. Why? Where did work come from? Let's think. Where did work come? What? Adam. Yeah, because again, before Adam and Rishon ate from the tree, right? The Nachash was supposed to be Adam's butler. He was his servant. All the work was going to be done by him. The Nachash didn't like that. Not only did the Nachash like that, the Nachash liked his wife. No, really, that's what it was. Really, it's amazing.
Known as a bad hire.
Bad hire, yeah.
Real bad hire. Not as bad as.
But he didn't even hire him. Right?
No, I know. But
It's unbelievable, right? He didn't hire him.
It was a bad gift.
It was, yeah. No, it was okay, but again, he didn't use it the right way.
Yeah, I mean the serpent.
Many times we have things and we don't use them the right way. Correct? Right? People use their things in the wrong way and they get in trouble with things sometimes. Right? People do that with their technology today. Right? People have technology; they could use it for positive things, but other people use that technology and they get in trouble with that technology. It's Hashem should protect us all, really. Because in all work that we do is included all in the lamet tes malachas, in the 39 acts that we did when we were making the Mishkan, right? We had the Melechas HaMishkan. There were 39 different types of activities that we did to make the Mishkan. Those are the 39 prohibitions on Shabbos to partake in, right? You can't use any of those 39. All of those 39 have to do somehow with any kind of work that we're going to do. Right? Ki kol halamites malachas nimshachim mezumas hanachash come from the zuma of the impurity of the nachash. Now, that's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu instructed us to build the Mishkan, correct? Right? He made us build the Mishkan with the lamed tes malachas. In other words, to purify the 39 acts of work, right? Instead of it just being mundane, connected to the nachash, connected to the impurity, so Hashem said, no, we're going to make a mishkan now, and you're going to use those same things in order to make something of holiness. Isn't that nice? We're in the week of Yesod, we're learning about holiness. Isn't that nice? Okay. Ayedei she'ochel adam arishon me'etz hadas, ayedei atzas hanachash. Through the nachash, through Adam eating from the tree of knowledge, good or bad, right? Through the advice of the nachash, right? The eitzah of the nachash, right? The advice of the nachash. Shayedei zeh niskalkel b'zeyas hapecha toichel lechem. Oh, the curse came in from that. Via the sweat of your brow shall you eat your bread. Isn't that interesting? Notice the work came about from that. Be'itzvain teichlenu. The Torah goes on to say, Be'itzvain teichlenu. It'll be your bread of depression. Shemisham nimshachin halamites malachos, and from there come the lamites malachos kayadua. As we all know, everyone understands that the lamites work came about through this. Vikar chet adam arishan. The main chet of Adam Rishon, and where the 39 acts. In other words, you're not allowed to pick anything on Shabbos, right? You're not allowed to go to the tree to pick something, correct? Right? What do? They pick the fruit from this tree.
Right. But
they weren't supposed to pick a fruit from this tree. And even if they picked it, they weren't supposed to eat it, right? Dahainu pegam she'ochel machol shel isa shu bechinas mezayne degufa. Oh, he ate something that was usher to eat. Right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Adam Arishan, don't eat from this. Eat. He gave him the command to eat from all the other things. You can eat everything else that's in the garden. In the Garden of Eden, right? All the things that were there, the beautiful fruits and the vegetables, whatever he had there. He was able to eat everything. Hashem said, just don't eat from this tree. That was it. Eat from everything else, just don't eat from this. So eating from everything else would have been a mitzvah, right? Because Hashem told to eat from everything else. But not eating from this was an isser. He wasn't allowed to do that. He was not allowed to eat from that. But the fact that he did eat from it, that strengthened the mezayne de gufa. We learned yesterday the idea was supposed to strengthen the mazon of the neshama. Remember, right? We learned that idea, right? We want the neshama to be satiated via the food that we eat, more so than the guf. We want to always give the neshama that edge over the guf, right? Because if you give the guf the edge over the neshama, then it's not going to work out too good. V'bechinas akev Esav, the same way Yaakov Avinu was holding on to the heel of Esav. Remember we said that yesterday, right? We learned that idea, the beautiful idea. Yaakov was using his hands to hold on to the heel of Esav. Why specifically the hands? Because the hands was we have to purify. We have to purify the hands. How do we purify the hands? By washing our hands. Right? We learned the idea. We'll review it one more time. The law is that you take your cup, your clean water, and you have to have at least a revius of water. Right? A revius of water is about 5 ounces of water. Okay? And we said that the 5 ounces of water is really considered, could be a mikvah midiaraisa, right? Because it's 5 ounces, right? Again, if there was a gum, if there was a hole in the ground, and it rained into it, you were able to use that water, that 5 ounces, to purify small things. If you had a machat, you had a little needle, or you had needles that you were going to use for let's say you were going to use the needle to weave something for the Beis Hamikdash, right? So that needle had to be pure, right? That needle had to be pure, so you had to purify the needle. So you were able to use that little bit of water in order to purify that needle. All right, that pin, that needle, whatever it is. If you had a small spoon that you were going to use, you could put it in there. If it fit, fine. That's all you could use it. Now, why is that significant? Because that's the law. That same revius is what we have to wash our hands with. Because washing our hands is purifying our hands like a mikvah, right? Right. Because again, everything happens through the hands. All the work we do, everything we do is connected to our hands, right? We agree with that? You had to use your hands, right? You have to use your hands for everything that we do. Adam Arishan kafar beikar. Adam Arishan was a kafar beikar. He was a total heretic. He totally denied everything. Adam. Why? Because listen, what did the Nachash tell him? Right? Remember what the Nachash did. Let's think about it for a second. The Nachash said to Chava, you're not allowed to eat from the tree, you're not allowed to touch the tree. Right? You're not allowed to eat from the tree, you're not allowed to touch the tree.
She said.
No, he said to her.
She added the touching. And he took advantage of that. He said, then go ahead and touch it. Then she touched it, said, see, nothing happened to you. She did a chumrah.
She made a chumrah.
She made a chumrah.
He said, but the Nachash used it.
Yeah,
right?
He used it.
Because then he pushed her.
Right.
He pushed her into the tree.
He pushed her, but she came up with the chumrah.
But he pushed her into the tree.
Yeah.
He pushed her into the tree to show you. See, nothing happened. He said, you're not allowed to touch the tree. Now nothing happened to you.
So
you got to eat. But what was the reason why he said he came up with a svara that he said like this? He said, Hashem doesn't want you to eat from this tree because Hashem ate from this tree, and he became a god.
Yeah.
He became a creator. So therefore Hashem doesn't want competition. He doesn't want competition, so he doesn't want you to eat from it.
It doesn't make sense.
What? Sure, it doesn't. Because you're the Monday morning quarterback, right?
Who made the tree?
What?
Hashem only became a god after he ate from the tree. Who made the tree?
Okay, okay, you're right, of course. But again, this is we're asking on the story, but this is what happened. We're discussing what happened. Of course, listen, can I ask you something? When someone does a sin, right? The next morning, he looks back and he says, why did I do that? It also looks stupid, right? I mean, anytime, right? It says that a person will never do a sin unless nichnas ruach shtus, right? He has a folly, a ruach of folliness that comes into him. So he does the thing, right? That's how it works.
Temporary insanity.
Temporary insanity. Other Marishan kafa beikar ki anachash hitau. Right, the day that you're going to eat from this, you're also going to become the God. That's what he's telling him, right? Chazal say in the Medrash Tanchuma, that the Nachash said to them, to Adam and Chava, min ha'etz achal uvara es ha'olam. He said that from this tree Hashem ate, and he created the world. So the tree was there before the world. Like Shalom said, it's kind of silly. Where was the tree? If it was before creation, then where was the tree? How was there a tree?
Yeah, well, it was after the black hole and the gases.
Yeah, all right.
The creation of the world that way,
There we go. Okay. Nimsa shekafa b'chidush olam. So Adam Arishan was kaifer in the idea of chidush olam, believing that Hashem Yisbarach made the world yesh me'ayin. Right? We said chidush olam is that Hashem created the world something from absolutely nothing. So that means he wasn't around, the Nachash wasn't around, the tree wasn't around, there was nothing. There was absolutely nothing. And Hashem created everything. He made yesh from ayin, something from nothing. We don't understand that concept because we're constantly taking a yesh and perfecting the yesh. We're using the yesh to make another yesh. We have something, we have matter, and we turn the matter into something. Correct? Right? You have metal, you can turn your metal into a cup. You can turn your metal into you can make a car out of your metal. Right? You can do all different things. But you had metal. You had something to start with. You had the matter there to start with. Hashem made the world yesh me'ayin, hamuchlat. There was absolutely nothing. And Adam Arishan was kaifer in that. Because he believed what the Nachash told him. Oh yeah. It's unbelievable when you learn the story. Like you said, it's so sad that that this happened like this. But okay. Kishama la'atzas hanachash, because he listened to the idea, the advice of the nachash, and that's where he got his ideas from. He listened to the nachash. He could have said back to the nachash, Hashem created me, and he asked me to do one thing. Eat two things. Eat from all the things, and don't eat from this. So I'll do it. Why do I have to argue with him? But he had to be smarter, right? He had to be smarter. Shu bechinas, when it says va'nachash haya arum, the nachash was arum, right? Arum has two translations. It can mean it was conniving, cunning, right? Right. Arum can also mean that it was not clothed. Hanema b'Torah now. And all of this came about from this heresy of the Chiddush Olam. Again, the idea that Hashem created the world yesh me'ayin. Ki kamay shal yedei tefillah, hatefillah shel habal koyach. The same way we have a tefillah from the Baal Koyach, that he davens a tefillah bedin, like we're learning about based on lesson 8 in the second book of Likutey Shehu machnia bechinas v'nachash hayarim, that he can push down the advice of the sitracha. Kamuv b'Torah shayidei zeh zoichin lechola bechinas anal. You come to all of these bechinas a tefillah bedin. Why? Because that's from the das the kedusha. That brings about ruach nevuah. It brings about Gerim, we said. It brings about more Kvayt Shemayim. Kavod Hashem brings more Kvayt Shemayim. Ad shezoichin legalois Emunah amitis, until you can reveal the true Emunah, Shel Chiddush Olam, and understand how HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world. Yesh Mayayin is constantly doing that. Hashem is constantly recreating the world. The world is anew every single day. Shal Yedei Zeh Achila. This kind of eating, when a person can eat this way, and he's feeding his neshama, right? When you realize, when you use your hands you wash your hands first, and then you take your 10 fingers, and you hold your bread when you're eating, you're make sure you hold the bread with your 10 fingers. Why the 10 fingers? We said because the 10 fingers is the two hands. And the two hands have in it 28, there's 14 joints in each hand. Two hands makes koyach ma'asav higid liyamai. Right? All of these things are happening when I'm eating, and this becomes the achila de kedusha, the achila for the neshama. Mezayna de nishmasa. V'chein lahepech chas v'shalom k'v'shemizgaber chas v'shalom b'chinas v'adnachash ha'oram. But when the nachash becomes, when the other side becomes stronger, then the kfira comes up. Those that don't want to believe that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that created the world mamish, and he is the creator. There's no one else. Nothing happened without the Ratzon of Hashem. And we learned the idea of Hashgacha Pratis, how HaKadosh Baruch Hu is controlling everything in the world. Remember, Hashem does everything. Nothing happens in the world without Hashem willing it to happen. That's part of our Emunah in Chiddush Olam, remembering that. Then if you don't have that and you don't believe in Chiddush Olam, you don't believe in everything, so then you're feeding the body. It's just the body, and you're discharging the importance of the neshama. Ki nechlash mezayne de nishmasa, because you're weakening the food of the neshama. And I believe this is the reason why that you have all of these problems in the world, right? That they'll say that this is a mezainis, this is this and this and that. Again, all to try to give more to the body and not to give to the neshama. Do you understand? That's where all these things come from. It's another Yetzer Hara, right? It's a Yetzer Hara, and they write, they have a big hechsher on it and this and that, but it's all a bunch of nonsense. It's really a bunch of nonsense. We're not supposed to fall into these traps. Umisgabe Ekev Esav, and then the Ekev of Esav is Misgabe, he gets stronger, the heel of Esav. Shu Zu Masanacha, Shu Bechinas Mezoine, the goof of the side of the goof. So it's an important thing for us to remember, this idea that again, when we eat, realize what we can accomplish when we're eating. Look at this, what we can accomplish. We can connect back to Koyach Masav Higil Yamai, the HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Koyach, that Hashem used to create the world. I can do that while I'm eating my bread, while I wash my hands. We use the cup, right? That's what we said. We have to have a good cup, because we said that the cup is the vessel that holds the water, right? The cup is the vessel that holds the water. The water has to have a quality as well. It can't be water that we use for something else, right? I need to connect to that water from the upper waters. Right, which is the das, knowing of Hashem, right? That we said that in the bread itself. The bread in itself has within it an aspect of matzah. The bread in itself has the aspect of matzah, the knowledge of Hashem, but it gets covered over by all the other stuff, right? But when we wash our hands, we can reveal that Hashem was the one that gave me this bread. And remember, the same way we learned about the man. The same way the man, we realized it was from Hashem. It fell lechem min hashamayim. It came from Hashem. When I have my food and I eat over here, I'm supposed to come to the same realization that it came to me via Hashem. But when we're not doing the right thing, so then the nachash gets, the other side gets stronger. And then we eat rather than satiating the neshama, we're eating to satiate the guf, the body.
It
The
also
whole,
has to be
the what?
also has to be water that's not left overnight.
Well, that's
Right?
part of it. Yeah,
Part of it,
yeah. Water, well, you can have water overnight, but it would have to be covered.
Right.
If you cover it, it's fine. All this came from the what Adam Arishan heard the advice of the Nachash. Hanema Hashem beparsha v'kofa beikar bechidush olam. V'ochel me'aetz hadas shu achila the sitra achra. He ate from the side of the side of impurity. Really, the tree was pure. The Zohar says that really, when it came to Shabbos, he would have been able to eat from the tree. He just had to wait. It was only a few more hours.
What was wrong with the tree?
There was nothing wrong with the tree.
Why did he want him to eat from the tree?
Because that was the tree of knowledge, good and bad. Before he ate from that tree, good was good, bad was bad. When he ate from that, he made that eruv, he made that mixture, he mixed the good with the bad.
God told him not to eat from the trees.
No. It's a good question. No, because that was the tree of knowledge, good and bad. So in other words, before he ate from that tree, good was good, bad was bad. You couldn't misconstrue good for bad and bad for good, like the world does today. Right? In the world today, anything that's bad, they tell you is good. And anything that's good, they tell you is bad.
You wouldn't have made the mistake.
Can't do that. You can't do that if you didn't eat from the tree.
I would know that when I get a thought in my brain, whether it's a good thought or from the citra or from the other side.
Mm-hmm.
If he hadn't eaten from the tree.
You'd know good from
I would
bad.
know good from bad.
We wouldn't be mixed up with the good and the bad. I mean, look, you have millions of people in the world that don't see what we're going through over here. They don't have any idea. They have no idea. They have no idea what's going on. Millions and millions of people. It's not like, there's a little group, right? It's a lot of
Anyone who doesn't.
all these countries. Look, the country of Britain, right? The country of Canada, right? Come on, France. Come on, these are a lot of people, right? All of them. It came from this whole idea that they can say things like that. Comes from where? From the tree. Eating from that tree. That's where all this came about.
And so, for some reason, if he hadn't eaten from the tree, we wouldn't have this confusion.
We wouldn't have had exactly. Good would be good, bad would be bad.
What was Adam's state at that time, that he was too vulnerable or something, or
this Sitrachra got to him.
Listen, Mordechai. Listen, Mordechai. Listen. We can all really, we're all human beings. We all make our mistakes, right? We all make mistakes, right? So anyone can say to themselves at any time, look back, why did I do that? Right? Why did I do that? Right? But he just did something, he made his mistake, and that was a very grave mistake.
Yeah.
But again, he could have just said, I was sorry. See that? Hashem asked him, what happened? Right? We learned this. It's very important to discuss it again and again. He could have said, the same way when we make a mistake, right away we say we're sorry. I made a mistake. I don't blame, it was his fault, it was that, then you're falling into the same trap of Adam.
He basically said it was God's fault. Forgive me, that woman.
Yeah, you gave me this woman, yeah.
I've noticed that I've been saying I'm sorry for, like, if I do the smallest thing that I did wrong, I say, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that.
Right, okay.
And I can see there's a difference when I do that. It's like he really does forgive me.
No. Because this is the whole point that we're learning. No, you just have to say you're sorry. That's it. But you can only do this if a person's working on their purity. And they wash their hands, because the hands is where all the sin is, right? We said all the sin is oiches on the yadayim, right? On the hands, right? That's why in the morning you have to wash your hands, because all of the tumah stays on the hands. Wash it off.
Well, that's where the salt is. That's a joke. I'm sorry. I'm
You
thinking of
said,
my.
I'm sorry again.
Mayim achronim.
Yeah, mine.
Right?
Yeah.
He said, I'm sorry. I said a joke, and then he says, I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry.
See that?
Forgiven.
Okay, so I think we understand this situation now, right? A little bit, right? The tree was this was something bad. He said that what was it here? V'ochel me'etz hadash shu achila d'sitracha, achila shel iser shu ikar mezayne degufa. When you eat something wrong, right? That's the main thing when you're eating the mezayne. You're feeding the body, right? You buy something and the hechsher is not whatever. I'll eat it. It doesn't matter, right? So then you're feeding the body. It's not the neshama.
Or gluttony if you eat too much of it, too fast.
Same thing. Then you're feeding the body. You're not giving the neshama.
And then if you feed your body, this is what happens.
Yeah. He's the best. Okay, Hashem Yisbarach Ratza L'Rachem Olah. But in the truth is here. Look at these words. These are so beautiful. These words. Hashem Yisbarach Ratza L'Rachem Olah V'Lesaknei. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has Rachman on us, and He wants us to fix things. He wants us to fix things. Him shecholav hakola mashke sagan, shu shekosa b'parsha ki kailecha shemati began ve'ira. Right, Adam Arishan heard the voice of Hashem ve'ira, and he became fearful. He had fear. Right, he heard Hashem's voice after he ate from the tree. He heard Hashem's voice ve'ira, and he became fearful. Right? Sha'al yedei zeh choyzru namachnia mezoyne de gufa umagabrin umagbirin mezoyne de nishmasa. And we wind up by saying I'm sorry, by doing the tshuva that we said before we eat food. We're supposed to have a thought of tshuva. Right? We're supposed to have a thought of tshuva before we even go wash our hands. Then take a thought of tshuva. Wash your hands with a pristine cup, with clean water. Get the tumah off. Lift your hands up. You say, Su Yadechem Kodesh Uvorchu Es Hashem, right? And then you make the bracha Al Netilas Yadayim. And we said when you make the bracha on Netilas Yadayim, make sure your hands are not pointing downward. Your hands are a little bit upward, so that way the water doesn't run back, right? You make the bracha that your hand is a little bit up like that. Because you don't want your hands to go this way, because if then the water's rolling back, all the impure water is going back on the hands. So you don't want to get back on the fingers. So you hold your hands slightly up, so then the water stays back this way. Then you finish the bracha, you wash your hands. You dry your hands.
So I am.
That's another problem that we have. People don't know. They're drying their hands while they're making the
While they're
bracha.
making the
No,
bracha,
they
yeah.
don't do that. No, because you're not supposed to be doing two things. We learned that in the kids' When you're making a bracha, I'm making a bracha. I'm not supposed to be walking. I'm not supposed to be thinking and typing on my phone. I'm making a bracha. That's what I'm doing. That's my activity. You got it right. All of these things are very important.
So I'm not used to doing tshuva before I wash my hands. What do I just so before I wash my even think about I'm sorry, please
A
forgive me.
thought of
Just
tshuva.
anything.
That's it. We said a
Hey,
thought of
just
tshuva.
A thought. Don't have to
Yeah.
say it.
No. A thought of tshuva is
Thought of
good.
tshuva.
Yeah. Yeah, we learned that the other day, right? The idea with the if somebody wanted to marry a lady, right? And he was a Rosh Gomer, and he says that I'm a Nashani Tzaddik Gomer, right?
Yeah.
He's a Rosh, but he says I want to marry you on the condition that I'm a Tzaddik Gomer. So the Gemara says Shema Hira Tshuva. Maybe so.
he was
So it's a
sorry.
suffix
Yeah, that's
kedusha
right.
if she accepted it, right? If she accepted it, right? It's a suffix kedusha. Because maybe he did tshuva. So you see how important a thought of tshuva is, right?
I'm saying how many people even think to do a thought of tshuva before they wash their hands?
I don't know.
This is just for bread or anytime.
It's always good to think have a thought of tshuva.
There's no downside.
no downside. No.
But I'm saying it's this relating to.
Yeah,
for washing?
yeah. We learned that in Halacha
For,
Gimel. Right.
Not in the morning.
Not in listen.
Well,
anytime you want to have a thought of tshuva, it's great.
Yeah.
Anytime. But if you can before you eat, that's very good because again, eating is a milchama, right? Eating is a milchama, right? So the same way before the soldiers used to go out to battle, they all did tshuva, right? The soldiers went out to battle, they did tshuva, right? And they said Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, right? They accepted the yoke of heaven upon themselves. And the tshuva, eating is a lashon, is a battle. We're going to battle.
I'm always amazed when I'm noticing all these things. Like there was a girl who was on a bus, and there was an attack at the whatever those gates are where the people go in and out of Jerusalem.
Yeah,
And she said Shema. She said the Shema.
yeah.
And it's so interesting that people will think of that right at that moment somehow to say the Shema.
Yeah, well, the Shema is very important anytime. Right, okay. Anyway, okay. Shayadeze chayzer the machnia mezoyne the gufa megabrin. Right, we said the mezoyne the nishmasa. Shayadeze hischil beemes tikun hachet sheloi. A person can fix the chet that he did. Aval adayin loy nizbara legamrei ad sheyavei Mashiach kayadua. Okay. So here we will, it's actually very interesting. Rabbi Kramer was learning this idea yesterday in lesson Ayin Ches, right? The idea when Mashiach is going to come, right? Because Mashiach is again above time and above space, right? So Mashiach will be able to clarify and make the rectifications for everybody. And he said that's why it's so important that everybody is important and everybody is part of the tikkun. Everybody is part of the tikkun that needs to be part, that will be when Mashiach comes. Mashiach will come and he's going to rectify everything. But again, until then, we have to work on our tshuva, right? We have to work on our tshuva and we have to do our part. Now he says, Vayedei chetoi, from the chet of Adam Arishan, Goram halamet tes klolos. The 39 klolos came about. Shayedei zeh, through the chet and the klola tzrichen leisyageya belamet tes malachas. Therefore, we have to toil so much on the lamet tes malachas. Sheim bezayis apecha teichalechem nimsa shekola malachas kluyim belamet tes malachas. Okay. So this week's parsha, right in the Chukayse, we have 49. There are 49 klolas, right? In this week's parsha, we have 49 klolas, 49 curses. Right, connected to the 49 days of Sefira, right? B'chukaisai always falls out within Sefira, right? So if we're working on the midos, the 49 midos, and working on purifying the 49 midos is our protection against the 49 49 curses. Okay, here we're learning about the 39. Kulam yesh bahem achiza zumas anachash. Of course, the nachash has something to do with all different work, and that's why it's so important that we learn the laws of Chayshim Mishpat, right? When we go out to work, we have to know what we can do, how we deal with business, and how we do things, because again, the Sitrach is there. He wants us to lie, cheat, and steal, right? That's what the Sitrach wants us to do. Right? He doesn't want us to be careful when we have a scale and we make sure that the scale is calibrated correctly so we're not cheating our customers. Right? The Sitrach says, no, you understand, right? It's all about the Sitrach. Well, if I say this to the customer, so then he'll like it better, but it's not really true, but who cares? Right? People do that, right? They do things like that. All of that is from the side of the Sitrach.
So that's why we can't do the 39 malachot, because we're bringing filth into Shabbat.
Mm-hmm. That's right. You don't want to have anything to do with the Nachash on Shabbos.
On Shabbos.
So no work on Shabbos. Not only no work on Shabbos, but all of the 39 are the Avos malachos. And you have the toldos of the malachos that come out of them also, right? You have the malachas that come from the 39. All of those, we don't want to have anything to do with work on Shabbos at all.
This calls it creative acts.
The what? Any creative act? Yeah.
39 creative acts.
Okay, creative acts, fine, whatever.
Like the same thing as work.
It's work. 39 malachas says 39 malachas. Shehu heipach mikol. Shal yadai miskaber chas v'sholem mezayne de gufa. Through this, the mezayne de gufa is strengthened. V'al kein hamayim shel anatila. Therefore, the water that I use to wash my hands, shetrichen lekadesh letar behem es yadayim kidei liskois lemezayne deshmasa. Al kein tzrichen sheyeh mayim sheloi nasa behem alacha. Oh, now I understand. Oh, it said I can't use reprocessed water that I used for work. Oh, now why? Because I don't want to. I'm trying to protect myself against the nachash and against the whole thing of the lamed tes malachas. So why would I want to take water that was used for the lamed tes malachas and wash my hands with it? You understand how beautiful that is?
So it's like purifying our whole meal, whether it's on Shabbat
Yes,
or not.
anytime. But we're learning here, this is really for Pas Shachris.
Right.
We're learning here for Pas Shachris that we eat in the morning, you eat your bread, right? Eat your bread in the morning, have your slice of bread, whatever you're going to have. You have a kazayas of bread, at least a kazayas of bread. Kazayas of bread is about, I believe, the shear is about 28 grams as a kazayas. Okay, you have to eat about 28 grams makes up a kazayas. Okay, because I don't want to have anything to nachash on my hands again. I'm trying to wash him off. So if I'm going to use his water, then I'm going to reinforce him on me, and I want to try to get rid of him. So now we understand why the water, the halacha is you can't use water that was used for malacha. Now we understand why you can't use water that was used for malacha. Right? If you use that water for some kind of one of the 39 malachas, you can't reuse that water because that water is tainted.
What would I use? Can you give me an example? I'm kind of getting lost. What water would I use to do malacha?
You used water. Let's say you were. I don't know. I'll give you an example. Let's say you were a tanner, right? You were doing work on tannery, right? And then you had water in your place that you use for your tanning.
Okay.
And now you have to wash your hands. So the halacha says you can't use that water,
Okay.
even though it's clean. Let's say the water that's clean doesn't smell.
Or you wash clothes. I mean,
Yeah, you wash your clothes. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. We're not used to these things anymore. We have the washing machine, right?
Yeah.
We have the washing machine. But I'm just saying, whatever, you can't, we're trying to understand the halacha, why you can't use water that was used for work. But now we understand, because the water that was used for work was connected back to the nachash, which is connected back to the Eitz Hadas Tov V'Ra, that tree of good and knowledge, good and bad. And I want to stay far away from that as I can, because I want to satiate my neshama, not the guf.
it's a lot easier for us because we have a tap.
Yes, of course. No, but we can still appreciate. We're still learning to appreciate what the halacha is. Right? Of course, we have the tap. It's much easier today, naturally. But again, that's the okay. Kedei shelo yeh bahem shum achiza mezuma shanachash. Kedei shenuchal letar ala yadayim esa yadayim. Kedei sheyeh lahem. We want that the hands should be clean. Kayach lachnia mezayne the gufa. The kayach to subdue the mazon of the guf. Shu zuma shanachash lahagbir mezayne the nishmasa and strengthen the food, the sustenance for the neshama. Shu bechinas achilas Yisrael shebehem bnei Yaakov. We are bnei Yaakov, and again, Yaakov Avinu was holding on to the heel of Esau, right, using his hands. We'll be able to fight against the Yetzer Hara. How can you fight? What's the best way to fight against the Yetzer Hara? By having pure hands. How do you get pure hands? Using pure water. In a pure in a cup that has eichut, a cup that has quality, that's a pristine cup, and then you can accomplish that. Amir Hashem, we should be zech. So now we all understand why the halacha is like we started today. Why the halacha is that when we wash our hands, why do we need to wash our v'shvil zeh tzarich she'iyah mayim shel netila mayim shelei nasu b'hem halacha. Now we understand why it has to be water that you didn't do any work with when you wash your hands for hands. Okay, Mitzvah Hashem will continue this tomorrow. Okay, so today we learned about the water. Tomorrow we're going to learn about the cup. Right? Today we discussed the water and the malacha of the water, right? Why you can't use the malacha in the water. Tomorrow, Mitzvah Hashem will discuss the next halacha, that the cup has to be a cup that's sholem. Why the cup has to be sholem. Okay, let's learn the halacha in Kitzur Shulchan Aruch now. What?
Wow.
Baruch Hashem. Haidul Hashem
Creating
Kitay.
holiness.
Okay, today we're up to, here we go, we're up to Ches today. Today we're learning, in Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, we're in Siman Yud Tes. We're learning the laws of Mashav HaRuach, Umayrid Atol, V'sein Talamata, and the brachas of Yala V'Yavai. Today, I believe we're up to Ches 8. Here we go. V'im nistapek loy, im ama Mashav HaRuach, loy amar. Now, let's say the person doesn't remember. Did I say Mashav HaRuach Umayrid Ageshem? Or I didn't say it. He doesn't know. If it's after 30 days that you started saying it already, in other words, as a Chazal say, because if you said it 30 days, you said it over 100 times. So if you said it over 100 times, you'll remember it. So if it's after 30 days, Shekvar Ispalo, Tishem Apamim Karayu, he says 90 times, okay? Chazkasai, Shegam Ata Hispalo, Beharogil, Shalai Karayu, as if, so if you did that, so you can assume that you said the right thing, even though you don't remember, because you got accustomed to saying it. It's part of your tefillah because you kept saying it, so you probably said it. Remember what happens now if it's before the 30 days. You didn't say it 90 times, 100. You didn't do it yet. You didn't say it yet. You have to go back and say it again. Right? You have to go back again. All right? Also v'talamatar. Right? You say the same Talamata Levracha in Baruch Aleinu. Again, if you didn't remember if you said that. So if it's a day that's past the 30 days and you're mistopping, you're not sure if you said it or not, Mikaiminan Azkakose Shegam Ata Ispalo Karaya. You can be Mikayim the what do you call it? Your Chazoka that you probably said it correctly. The Kaidim Lechein Sarich Lachsa Ispalo, and before that you have to go back and say it again. Okay, so in that you can fix. We said yesterday by the V'sein Talamatar. Right? If you didn't say that, you can repair that in Shema Kaleinu. Remember we said that, right?
Right.
But where we say Reika Malta Shivenu Chanenu Vanenu Shema Tefilaseinu, right there you can say the same Talamata Levracha. So if you're not sure if you said it or not, you can just say it again over there. There's nothing wrong with that. You did nothing wrong whatsoever. Otherwise, if you forgot and you finished the Shmon Esrei, you have to go back again and daven all over again. Okay?
Is it a terrible thing? Like, if I don't know if I did it or not, or did something,
Yeah.
and even if it's after the 30 days, can I go back and repeat the Shemona Esrei?
No, you can't. No, you can't. That's again, you're making brachas levatala. You have to know the law. So if it's before 30 days and you don't know, so then you go back. But if it's after 30 days and you said it already, so that's the halacha, so you do not go back.
So I'm trying to. So if I didn't say it,
Yeah.
and I didn't remember that I could say it in these other places, and I kept going, then I would have to go.
Then you have to go back. Yeah, then you have to go back. Okay? All right, everyone. We should have a wonderful day. I wish everyone, we should hear Besora Tovot, and everyone be well. Thank you for joining.